So if I can rephrase the motion, so the motion is to defer this to the next meeting, and before that time is provide the questions that you've listed to the director, and the director and staff can respond to those and provide it back out to the council, have that on the next agenda for discussion and potentially approval.
I would just like to be certain though that the agenda item is to contract services with DWK. There's other issues that Mr. Hammond has, but what we're voting on is to approve services and a contract with DWK. Correct?
Well, we're not voting on that.
Not today, but we're deferring that to the next meeting. Yes.
Okay, so I think we have the motion. Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Opposed? So did you get the motion? Okay, thank you. Okay, so that moves us, that completes section C, which are the consent items. We'll move on to section D. And D1, we do have a public comment. Mr. Palmer. That is program transfer request for 2017-18.
Yes, thank you. If I may just use a moment of my time just to comment there. I think there is a difference between sending a letter on behalf of WESELPA versus sending a letter on behalf of the Superintendents Council. As Dr. Jensen, would there be a difference between sending a letter on behalf of your board versus on behalf of the school district? So I think that is a difference that I just noticed in listening to your conversation. In regards to this item, program transfer request, I'm just concerned in the page, on page 10, well, it was page 10 of packet 1, so it's the page there that lists it. It talks about this program transfer coming before the Program Advisory Committee, and it talks about it coming before the Finance Advisory Committee. It makes no mention of coming before the Community Advisory Committee, and this has been an issue that I've raised many times in the past, that the Community Advisory Committee often gets overlooked and not included in these issues and these things that are going on. They are a committee, I believe, in equal standing with the PAC and the FAC, and they advise this council, so they should be equally represented and acknowledge that they were a part of the process in reviewing this program transfer. So if I've missed something, I apologize, but from what I'm reading, I don't see that they were mentioned in the review of this program transfer.
Thank you. So with that, do we have a motion to approve item D1, program transfer request for 2017-18?
You caught me. We did take it January 10th, and I did not reflect it here, so I apologize. It was not here, but it's totally in the agenda for the CAC meeting. I just wanted to let you all know that it was there, that they discussed it. And if I could just explain, because this is a little bit convoluted, unless you're ready to take an action. There are a lot of requests that have been rescinded. They're the ones here captured that we did last May. Some of those were rescinded, and the ones that came forward this fall, which some have been rescinded. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. You're only really voting for the ones that are on the bottom half, because you already voted for the ones on the top.
Questions? Okay, is there a motion to approve item D1, program transfer request?
So moved.
It's moved by James. Second?
Second.
Second. Sean? All in favor?
Aye.
And I abstain.
Opposed? One abstention. So one abstention for James. Okay, we do have a public comment for item D2, local plan revision, second reading and approval. And that's Mr. Palmer.
Yes, if I can just follow up too on the previous one. I think the oversight is potentially reflective of an attitude toward the Community Advisory Committee. So I hope that that doesn't go unnoticed. Also, I wanted to bring your attention on the local plan to Section 3, literacy policy. And I wanted to just bring to your attention that, and ask the question, is your literacy policy working? I don't think that it is. I tried to look at the SARCs for the high schools represented here. Thank you, Chaffey Joint Union. Your SARC was readily available and accessible on your website. Upland and Chino couldn't find it, so you've done good at hiding your SARC from the public. But in that SARC, it's reported that only 58% of high school students are proficient or beyond proficient in English language arts. And to me, that is very concerning that your literacy policy is not working. This literacy policy is directed toward the most vulnerable in our high schools, and I think that they would be overrepresented in the 42% that aren't literate in English language arts. So I just think we need to do some serious evaluation about this literacy policy and its effectiveness for our students, because they're not graduating proficient in English language arts. So I know that there's another thing that's concerning to me. There's no mention in here about AB 1369, the dyslexia bill, and what changes are going to be made, because 1 in 5 students have dyslexia, and I guess I would say they also are overrepresented in that 42% that are not literate in English language arts. So we need some serious evaluation and changes to our literacy policy that are really going to help students become literate as they graduate from high school.
Thank you. So item D2, Susan.
First of all, I'd like to thank each of the districts that had participants on the committee. This has gone to each of the governance committees, including CAC. You have a summary of changes, then you have the red line version, and then you have the final cleanup version. And on approval day, Karen will be sending out packets to each of your districts so you can take this forward to your board for approval. And then we will submit all of that, and Ted's signature too, we will submit all of that up to the CDE, and it then becomes what we've become very used to, an interim local plan for 1 year, and the CDE will have to review it and get back to us, but would have this as our interim for 1 year, and then it should be finalized by the state.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Any questions? If not, do we have a motion to approve D2 local plan revision second read?
Motion to approve.
It's moved by Hans. Is there a second? Second. Second, Wayne, all in favor?
I'd like-
Discussion.
Yes. I have 2 concerns about this. The first one is the language regarding when a district is terminated and bearing all costs. And the second is, I believe we should continue to have discussions about having weighted votes based on the ADA represented on the South Side.
Okay, comments noted. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One abstention and 1 opposed. Okay, so that moves us to item D3, which is Westland self-reorganization proposal. Excuse me. Oh, before we do that, I'm sorry, we have a public speaker, public comment for D3, Mr. Palmer.
Yes, on D3, on the first page there, it lists the work group members. Again, I'm concerned that the community is not represented in the work group that reviewed and made plans. This agency is put together with public dollars to serve the community, and so the community, I would hope, would be represented on the work group that reviewed and evaluated the restructuring and the downsizing of this agency. Maybe even just somebody from the Community Advisory Committee. But other than that, maybe somebody from the community who has a vested interest in education and special education in particular. So the fact that your community is not represented here is alarming and concerning to me.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Please.
What you have before you represents a lot of work and a lot of thought and consideration by the 9 districts that will remain as the Western SELPA. As you can see, we had to deal with a $1.2 million cut to our budget, which means that we all had to acknowledge that the Western SELPA will no longer be able to provide the services we've been known for many, many years. So, as you can see, we had representation from 8 of the districts, and we kept Mount Baldwin informed as we could on the thought process that went into this, as well as the outcomes. And so we have a number of very large districts, and then we have a number of very small districts. And so the challenge was, how are we going to meet the needs of very large districts, which really turns out to be more in our alternative services unit, and then how are we going to meet the needs for support in very small districts. And I have to commend this group. They worked together so well, and the large districts really came forward and said, we understand we won't be able to have the direct support we've had before, but we will get our benefit from the SELPA through the alternative services unit with the due process and with the non-public school placement and the RTC. So out of all of that work, you can see on the 2nd page is the list of what we are recommending to the SBCSS HR department. They will use their policies and procedures to determine how this will actually work. But what the group is recommending to you for action as a recommendation today is that of our 6 program specialists, we will lose 4. We have already lost 1 that has become a county principal, so we're very happy for her, and others have been out interviewing. We have 2 clinical counselors. We will have 1 that will do the RTC oversight. Our behavior specialists, we will be reduced by 50%, 2 to 1. Office specialists, we will lose 2, and 1 will be through attrition of a retirement, and 1 paraeducator. So for a total of 9. Now, at the end of the day, when we did all of this work, there was still $45,000 that needed to be cut. And so we also, as you can see in item number 3, developed a plan for, by looking at our operating budget, some cuts or some costs that just no longer would be there. That was a natural. And then looking at the staff, we will no longer be able to offer our clinical parent training program nor our parent project. So those are deep cuts, and I asked in the beginning that we cut deeply enough that we won't be back in a year asking, are we going to make additional cuts? So that is the recommendation.
Thank you, Susan. Any questions for Susan? Okay, if not, is there a motion for approval for item D3, West End SELPA reorganization proposal?
So move approval of the proposal and to forward the recommendation on to SPCSS Human Resources Department.
Okay, so we have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Wayne. Discussion?
Yes, I'd like to comment on this. I'm very concerned about this, and I would like it to be reflected in the record that my 2 representatives on this committee do not concur that their requests in the last meeting were followed through with. Having gone through a very serious fiscal crisis in Upland and having to cut $9 million from our budget, I do know how painful it is to have to make these recommendations. My concern here is that the majority of these cuts are services to kids, and there is nothing here that indicates any cuts to upper management. And I do believe that in times of crisis, there needs to be a fair share model presented when cuts are to be taken. I do know that there was consideration for some cuts, but what this reflects here is simply cuts for kids, and I cannot support it.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve D3? Well, we've already had motion
Yes.
second, so all in favor for D3?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Okay, one abstention. Okay, so D3 has passed. That leads us to section E, which is council members' report. Any council members have anything to report to you? Seeing none, future agenda items? Seeing none, is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved, is there a second? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That will adjourn today's meeting from Superintendents Council. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and a wonderful week.